Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. Today I'm going to be sharing with you what we use and cook on in our kitchen and why we use it, and the dangers of using other items. So if that's something you're interested in, please continue watching. If you're new to my channel, my name's Brianne and this is Hunting for Healthy, which is exactly what it sounds like. I hunt for all things healthy. So I wanted to share with you guys why we switched to cast iron and why we cook on stoneware dishes. And so if you have not been familiar with the health industry, there's been a lot of controversy over the ingredient called Teflon. And another ingredient, which name is so long and so weird, I'm not really sure I can pronounce it. I'm going to attempt to for you right now. It's called perfluorooctanoic acid. It's one of those things where I could probably do it. But anyways, it's PFOA. Essentially, that particular chemical has been linked to causing cancer and other health issues, and then it is used in the process of making Teflon, which is the non-stick ingredient on most of your pans, in case you didn't know that. The dangers with that is that people have shown videos of birds dying during the process of cooking on Teflon. You know, like they used to take birds down into mines when they didn't have a way to know what kind of gases might be released. And if there was a danger and the birds started to die, then they would leave because they knew that there was something in the air that was going to be hazardous. So people's pet birds dying while they're cooking dinner is indicative of a larger problem. Now, whether it's a big controversy or whether it's like actually real, there's always so much information on the internet that tends to contradict itself. And even with research, research can be fallible because there can be mistakes made in the research. They could have not had enough studies done to really show statistical significance. And of course, whoever pays for the product makes a big difference in what they want if they're looking for a certain thing. So if there's a company that's going to lose millions of dollars because Teflon is their ingredient that they use, of course they're going to pay for research that backs them up. And then if somebody's going to make a bunch of money because Teflon goes out of business, maybe they will promote somebody else. So it can be really conflicting. So why did we do it? Because when stuff like that comes up, I tend to believe that the older, more traditional things that we do in our lives that never cause cancer or problems are probably the way to go. So something like cast iron has existed for a very, very long time. It has been used all over, and that makes me believe that it is probably safer to use. I like to go back to our history. So, having said that, there are some pros and cons to cast iron and why we choose to use those. Now, cast iron things do stick to, which is probably why Teflon became a thing, because things will burn to the bottom unless you season them correctly. So seasoning is the process of taking some kind of fat and essentially cooking it or absorbing it into the iron, for lack of a better way to explain it. Basically, they do recommend some oils online. I would say not to use those because a lot of them are PUFAs or polyunsaturated fatty acids, which are kind of scary to cook with in general. So if you have access to bacon lard or maybe coconut oil or avocado oil, those things would be okay. Again, the best is going to be some kind of animal fat to season it with. So you're just going to put a little bit on there. You're going to cook it in the oven at 375. I believe it's for 1 hour, and then you just let it cool in there. It probably will make your house smell a little bit, so make sure to get all the food residue off of the pans before doing that. Otherwise, it's going to have that burnt smell. It's something that we don't do very regularly. It's just kind of like when things we do notice start to stick, we tend to do this process, and if they're well seasoned and cooked well, or it's called seasoning. I don't know how to explain that other than if it's well done in the oven with the lard being cooked onto it, then it will not stick with your food when you cook later on. You still need to add like extra oil or whatever it is you're going to be cooking with, so don't think that like you don't have to do that. If you're having the problem of burning things onto your skillet or it's getting stuck, you probably just need to re-season them and to make sure you're cooking with enough oil for it to not have items burned to it. And we use it for everything that we do, from any kind of quiche or bake, something like just regular scrambled eggs, all the way to you can cook your steak in it in the oven. So cast iron's a really versatile item to use, as well as it is very evenly disperses the heat, meaning that like a lot of other items that you might get like some heat in one spot and not the other because the metal doesn't heat consistently. So especially if you're like a new cook or chef or you're trying out new things, it's really important that the heat is evenly dispersed. Say if you're cooking chicken, you don't have like one raw chicken over here on the edge and the one in the center is like overcooked and well done, because that can get really frustrating when you're just trying to cook a meal. So that's definitely a benefit. And then on top of all of that, there is the added benefit of getting more iron into your diet. I'm sure you've heard of anemia or low iron deficiencies and different health issues that come with that, and a lot of people take iron supplements. I like to do things that are as natural as possible, and so if you cook with acidic foods like tomato sauces and other things, it's going to actually help the iron come out of the pan into your food and you're going to eat it, which I think is a really cool perk, that you essentially get like a vitamin from your dish that you're cooking your food in. I just think that that's like a really cool perk. And instead of taking supplements that you might not be of high quality or you don't know how well they were vetted, now you have something that you know is good quality and you're going to be, ingesting into your body, and it's safe for you to eat. And I just think that that's really cool. So let's multitask and get more things done and save some money in the long run. So, which leads me to the next thing. Cast iron tends to be somewhat expensive. So what we did was we bought from Groupon. We got 3 different pans of 3 different sizes, which I will show you in a minute. And they have worked great for us. We tend to use the middle one and then the largest one, and then I added an extra one that had a lid, because most cast irons don't have a lid, and that tends to be really frustrating. So here is my cast iron 12-inch skillet. This is really large, and I bought this on Amazon, and within the first week, I broke it. Not the cast iron, that would be like pretty much possible to break, but the lid itself. It got caught on my glove and it broke, which is really sad. So what I loved about this though is that of course it's cast iron, but it does come with handles. That's another thing that can be really frustrating about cast iron. If you buy it from like Groupon and stuff, it doesn't come with that, and it's really hot obviously if you touch it and you burn yourself, so it's nice to have those. I love the feature of the lid if I'm cooking anything with sauces that might kind of pop out, even things like bacon with the grease popping out, that can be a little bit nerve-wracking, so I really do appreciate that feature. And it comes with a scraper to clean it. You don't care if cast iron is different than your typical pots and pans. You actually want to be cleaning it with a scraper like this one, which again I will show you in just a moment. And so the scraper will get all the grit off because you're not going to use any soap on this, which I think is great to reduce the chemicals that you're using and have in your house, as well as what goes into the water supply and goes to the oceans and into our drains, and it kills things. So it's great because now you get, and then you can, save money on soap and also on time. So you're just going to scrape it off and just go about your day. We do have a scrubber that we use, which I will also demonstrate. And it kind of has like a little, like you can flip it over, almost like what you would use on a grill, and that will help clean it off. So that is part of the care of your cast iron, to make sure it has longevity so that you don't get more chemicals in your food as well as into the water supply. So that's really, really cool. And I think that having multiple sizes is a big part of anybody's cooking journey. So, being able to have that versatility is awesome. We absolutely love our cast iron. We use it all the time. I have no regrets, and I'll never go back to the cheap stuff that we used to have. It would warp, it would cook things unevenly, and end up like with sauce in one corner and not in the other, and it would like bubble in the center. I've had things that get scraped and torn with little flakes of metal into our food. It was awful. So let's go downstairs, and I'm going to show you the cast iron that we use in my kitchen. I guess you don't know, I'm on the top floor of my house right now, so we're gonna go all the way downstairs. All right, everybody, welcome to my kitchen. So I came down here to show you all those components that I had talked about. I figured you'd probably want to see what we had. So in the Groupon one, which everything I'm going to be linking down below, we get a small one like this, and then it also comes with this medium. This is the largest one in the set, and then I'm actually doing something on the stove right now. After you wash them, instead of like air drying them, you can actually stick them onto the stove and heat them. So I have one here that is just heating up because I did use it for my eggs this morning. And you kind of like evaporate the water off of it. Then I get my glove because, like I said earlier, they do not come with any kind of protection. And then there's no lip on this side, so you can't like pick it up in that way. And then I'll show you the other ones so you can see. So these are the 3 that you get with the Groupon ad that we use. I think it's a great deal. We've had no issues with them, and we love them, but we do cook in bulk, and so I needed something larger than that. And so this is really heavy for me, but I've got this one. So you can kind of see like the largest one in that set is considerably smaller than this one, and it's got that extra handle, which I find really helpful. And a nice little thing that kind of happened was the handles that come with it, these 2 come off really easily, and I can put them onto my smaller ones, which has been really nice. So I can show you right now. this is how it comes. And then it comes with a little scraper doodad. This is one that I already had, but there's another one that it comes with that is somewhere around here, which is great. So if you're like getting a starter one, I think you should either go with like maybe like this one, which is the largest one from the Groupon. I think it's I believe it's like either an 8-inch or a 10-inch, or go with the super large one that did come with a lid until I broke it. So it's really high quality. I've had no problems with it, and that kind of just gives you a demonstration of it. And then I also have this little metal chainmail type thing. I believe you're supposed to use it to cook and to scrub, but I've never had to bust that out. I've always been okay just with the little scraper doodads. Okay, so that's it. So let's just recap really quickly. We switched from Teflon covered things that are non-stick to cast iron because there has been linked to health hazards, as in birds dying, potential hazardous fumes, as well as cancer-causing ingredients. There's conflicting information, but that's okay. We just switched to cast iron because historically that's what we've always used. And it has the added benefit of iron into our diet. And then when we did all this, we also noticed that we didn't use ceramic or we didn't use these other items because cast iron, again, has those extra health benefits. And then we got to talk about some care of cast iron. So you need to make sure that you season it, which is using a animal-based fat. You can use other oils, but that's what I recommend is animal-based fat to coat your pans and then cook it at 375 in the oven. And you can look up any instructions, or if you want that video, you can, of course, ask me and I will figure out a way to do that for you guys. And then after that, you also want to make sure that you don't, as far as care goes, you want to make sure that you don't use any kind of soap on it. And when it's drying, instead of letting it air dry and letting all that water get into it, you throw it on the stove and you heat it to help evaporate the water off of it. So those are just some of the reasons and care and maintenance of that. So it's healthier to cook on cast iron. It's better for the environment to cook on cast iron. It cooks more evenly. It makes your food cook better so that it's easier for beginners. And it is cleaned off with a scraper instead of soap. And so that is my information about cast iron. There's a lot of other things out there, but we switched to it. We love it. I love the versatility of being able to use it in the oven, to be able to use it on the stove, to throw it on the grill. And I could use it with any version or size. And then some caveats, of course, things stick if you don't have enough fat. And then some of them don't have handles or protection for you, and most of them do not come with lids. So there are other options out there. And of course, I will provide all the links below with what I use so that you guys can get that from yourselves. If you have any other questions that I didn't answer, please feel free to comment below and come back to see me for more. Subscribe to my channel. I post healthy videos on my healthy journey and I try to help you on yours as well. See you next time. Bye-bye.